On Second Shot, we tackle 2 new headlines every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And we want you to be a part of that. When you see a headline you want to take a second shot at, or if you're looking for advice, or just want to tell us what you think of the show, email us at secondshotcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes. This helps us move up in the ratings so more people will see us. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the show so that the new episodes will get straight to you every single Friday. We love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
There's a lot of news in the world today.
News that might surprise you, startle you, upset, or maybe impress.
News that's not always for the faint of heart.
That's why the man who failed his way to success, Heath Oakes, is stepping up.
Tackling today's headlines with ignorance on fire in a way only a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with your host, Heath Oakes.
I have to say that I've kind of felt a little bit like Chad Prather over the last 3 weeks since I've basically been gone almost every week since Christmas, you know, with all the traveling and then all being in Austin and Oklahoma City and everything. I've been gone.
You've been all over the place.
All over the place. My better half, Jenny, how are you?
Hi. Great. I'm glad you're back in town.
Yeah.
Back in town and working.
And then Zach and Matt as always.
Hello, hello.
I got to tell you something interesting that I can say that my wife was not like doing me dirty, but the whole week gone to Austin. I get back on Friday, walk in the back door, and our daughter decides to say her first word, and she goes, "Dad, dad." Right off the bat, as soon as I get home, it was the coolest thing ever.
Aww.
Like walked in the back door and "Dad, dad." It's like, oh my God, did she just say it?
She did, and it shows that I wasn't just
filling
her head with mama all week long.
That's what I was saying. That's why I was trying to give you props, hon, is that obviously you didn't just be gone all week and going mama, mama, mama to her. You gave me a little bit of love.
I did, yes. And she gives you all the love. And now when you're gone, still...
Da, da.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, as Brighton's learning, she has to be attempting to say some things, right? So was there ever like a misfire? You thought she said something, maybe she didn't?
Ba, ba, ba.
Ba, ba, all the time. Ba, ba was like the first...
Forever.
Sound. She said "baba" for days and days and days and days.
Just waiting. It's either going to be an M or a D.
And then it evolved into dada.
Yeah.
Like really strong dada.
And it was even cooler that she obviously knows what that relates to because it was as soon as I walked in the back door.
Oh, that is cool. It wasn't just random. Yeah,
no.
It wasn't just like, yeah.
Well, she still says it randomly.
Yeah, now
she only has one word.
Yeah, she does. She just talks da 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 all the time.
That's going to be her thing. There's no chance that while Heath Oakes was away, maybe she snuck out a mama and you just kind of kept to yourself?
No. Well, I do think that if one parent hears or like sees a first crawl or a first roll or a first whatever, then it might be a good idea to say, "Ooh, they're almost there," and then wait till the parent gets there.
Doesn't
so
formally
they can
count.
See yeah, so they can see for real.
That's reasonable, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I made a mistake on that one.
Yeah, I was at. It was my first Saturday back at work.
Yeah, I think so. And she rolled over.
She rolled over for the first time, and of course, you know, working parents, it's a real big struggle. You think, gosh, you don't want to miss those milestones. You don't want to miss all the big things that happen. But I go back to work believing, okay, she's going to see me following my goals and achieving what I want to achieve, but I'm still going to spend all this time with her. And sure enough, I miss like her first big milestone. And he's like, guess what? While you were at work today, I was home with the baby and she rolled over. But anyway.
I didn't mean it in
I
that. I
know, of course you didn't.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
You know, us guys, we don't know half the
That's
we
fine.
just
She'll
screw
walk
up
with
on
me
a regular
first
basis.
and I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, we got a very good headline this week that obviously basically is just Alabama captures national title with overtime win over Georgia, right? So it was a big game this week, and the headline, Alabama wins. Nick Saban is going down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. What I thought was interesting about just the game in general, okay, is give a little backstory on it that it was like 13-0 at halftime. Georgia was winning. And the starter for Alabama, the quarterback for Alabama has only lost 2 games in his whole career. I think he threw 2 interceptions all year. So he was definitely no slack, right? At halftime, they're getting blanked. He pulls him and starts the true freshman QB who has never taken a meaningful snap in college football in the national championship, and they come back to win the game. So what is interesting about that, though, is from the outside you would think, oh, that was an off-the-cusp call, right? And sometimes I think about making those tough calls, but then I also go back to everybody else thinks that was just a whim, right? And Nick Saban has a very strong track record. So if Nick Saban made the wrong call and say they lost, nobody would remember that. Nobody would think that taints his
some
legacy.
people would.
No,
But,
because
yeah.
no, he's literally has he wouldn't it wouldn't bother him. He has so much of a track record of success. He's good. Younger coach making that, maybe it would hurt him. But the most interesting part is everybody thought, oh my God, how did he do that just off the whim? You know, because making tough calls is tough, right? But that was all planned. The first, now knowing, you know, afterwards, you know, we find out that after the first game, the playoff game, the starting quarterback did struggle as far as throwing the ball. Georgia had a strong, tough defense on running. And so during the week leading up to practice, he had already put the true freshman in like double the amount of reps that they've ever gotten. And so what was interesting, so he obviously thought this was going to be a possibility and had prepped it for that to make that call at halftime, and they come back and won. So wrapping that up, I go, from the outside that looked like it, but making the tough calls is not off the whim cusp. A lot of people will go, oh, I went with my gut and made just this really like that's a big call. But the people who make them intelligently, they don't just make them off the cusp. They are planned. They are leading up to it. It's not because that's got to be a quick reaction call, right? You've got, 15 minutes at halftime, 20 minutes at halftime to make a call on something that big. But that was planned out. See, Nick Saban is a planner.
So what you're saying is, from the outside looking in, it looked like a spur of the moment.
Yes.
Hey, why don't we just try this? I've got nothing else.
Yes.
But in reality, because he is who he is, he actually had a big backup plan, and that's what it was.
He had already planned on this being a possibility.
But you're saying even if he did it just randomly, it still wouldn't matter because he's him.
Well, but it probably wouldn't have worked out because he did it leading up to it, so that freshman QB had more reps. So, like, they made him out to be like this, he planned it out. And so I don't want people to start thinking, oh, just make these tough calls, because a lot of people make these swinging choices, right? And they swing the pendulum, right? And they swing. I see a lot of companies, right? They go, oh, well, we had one bad year. Let's change all of our strategy. But yet they had not planned to think that was coming. See, that's what the sign of somebody like a Saban to me is the reason why he has 6 national championships, is that nobody else in the country would have even thought leading up that there was a plan in place to pull a starting quarterback who has lost 2 games, okay? Would have happened. But he's such a stickler for the basics and fundamentals. He knew leading into it that there was a possibility they'd have to throw the ball, and the freshman QB was better, lined it all up. So I go back to our lives and think, man, when you're thinking about those tough calls, if you don't have any lead-up time that you've put any thought into it, maybe that's like going to tell you, because we go, how do you know when to make the tough call or not, right? Maybe sometimes leading you up to make that tough call is, have you had enough runway of putting something in place that leads you up to when you make that tough call, you actually have kind of thought about it more. Maybe that's that indicator.
So when people are trying something new, for example, like say they are going to switch careers, they decide the thing that I went to school for, it's not my passion anymore, I don't want to do it anymore, and they decide they're just going to step off and do something else. How many years do they give that before, and that, how many years do they give that before they decide, yes, that's it, or no, I've got to move on, this isn't my next big thing?
Here's what I would say. I wouldn't say it's a year's thing. I would say there's something preparation you have done. Like, okay, for instance, say you're sitting there, your boss pisses you off and you've never thought about leaving your job. And you go, I'm going to quit today. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to tell you that I would say that's probably not a good idea. Now, if you go, I'm going to quit my job today because for the last 6 months, you've got into this new hobby of painting art, and you have seen the Wine by Design franchise you want to buy, and you started painting more, and you started looking into it, and you've talked to some people, and you've saved up enough for it, and you think that would be cool someday, and then your boss pisses you off that day and go, you know what, I'm going to quit? Hey, that's some stuff that at least
that
has
makes a little more sense.
Yeah, that has led up to that deal. So I look at it like when so it's not that it's not a year's thing. I don't think it's a month's thing. I think it's that if you have that time where it's I got to make this tough call, maybe take a reflection to think, all right, if I make this decision right now, because it's tough, right? Whatever that call may be in your family, maybe to pick up, move your family across country. Has there been can you look back and see any steps that have actually kind of led up to maybe that being a move to make? maybe that can be the thing that tells you whether or not it's the right time to make that call. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, like, because everybody always asks, how do you know when to make the call or not? No, when do you know to make that jump or that leap or you know, in like Nick Saban's part here, right? Like, he'd already thought about it. So,
Sure.
So all of us in that moment, we thought it was a off the cusp thing, but it wasn't. So I think about it when everybody asks, it hit me because I've never been really given an answer to think when it is. I just go, your intuition. But I look at it and go, did you lead up and were there some things subconsciously that when you look back at it before you make that call to make that drastic change, can you look back and think subconsciously, oh, wow, there was this, and this. I guess I was already leading myself up to it or not.
Speaking of Nick Saban, I love this quote. I sent it to you.
This
the
was
other day.
awesome.
This is so good. So follow me on this. It's kind of long. If I put a 2x4 on the ground and asked you to walk across it, how many of you guys could do that? You could all do it because you'd focus on the board.
Just laying on the ground, laying on the floor.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, okay, it's skinny, but still, sure, I'll try it. I'll walk across it. But what if I took the same 2x4 and put it 10 stories up, stretched between two buildings? Then it's hard to focus on the board because you're focused on your fear of falling. Focus on your goals. Don't be distracted by your fears. Concentrate on the 2x4 and we'll get it done.
I love
it's
it.
so true. I love the imagery behind that because you think about
You can
2x4
see that.
on the ground. Sure, yeah, I'll try it up there. But yeah, I mean, it was just a reminder of focusing on, you know, you don't have to go up and walk between two buildings, but focusing on like what is the task at hand. What
Yeah.
are you really trying to achieve, and instead of all the things that could make you fall?
And before making that last minute decision, look back and focus on, were there things leading up to that helps you make that call on whether or not to do it. If you look back and there's nothing that led up to it, maybe it's not the right time. But if you look back and if you focused on that 2x4, it's going to lead that trail backwards and tell you the things that led up to it, and maybe that can help give you that time to make that call.
Right.
But
And anticipate the problems, anticipate the hurdles, and be ready for them.
And maybe you subconsciously did it. So if you're sitting there deciding right now whether or not to do make that tough call, go look back and think, are there things that are leading you to that call or not? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll find out. But we'll come back here in a minute for the second segment of Second Shot.
He's a suit and tie kind of guy with deep Southern roots. Heath Oaks hosts more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
Hear ye, great news for all of you guys. Colonial Life is hiring some salespeople from all over the country. No matter where you are in the United States of America, if you're looking for a sales career, if you want to just learn more about what Colonial Life does, send an email to mbeltran@coloniallife.com, mbeltran@coloniallife.com. We'll get you set up with the right people you need to talk to and see if you're going to win that job. If you're in the Metroplex area, great. If you're in St. Louis, great. We're going to have office there for you. mbeltran@coloniallife.com and change your career today.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
We're back for another round. Kristen's voice is just so good there. You know, we're back for another round. She says it so smoothly.
You know, funny
That's what she
story.
does.
Kristen, I probably shouldn't divulge this information. It's a little personal,
Oh,
but
do.
Kristen had a recent had some troubles with allergies and stuff. So she had a certain surgery to get some things fixed. Her voice is a little different.
Really?
No joke. And she came in the other day and re-recorded a line from the intro to Second Shot to see how different it is. I think I
And
have
so
it. If
was
you want to
that
play it,
the
if
new-
you want to play it
was
at
that
third
the new
segment.
one?
Yeah.
That was the old one.
That was the old one before
Okay.
surgery. I can play it in a
That's
minute.
funny.
In the third segment, you want to listen? I'll play it.
Maybe we'll have to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah, just so we can-
A little
we can
teaser for
compare
the
and
third segment.
contrast.
That'd
Yeah.
be funny.
If you don't want to hear what we have to say, wait till
Yeah.
you hear Kristen's voice.
Right, just tune in. Crystal, man, it's a shame she's not here. She would love that.
So this next one's kind of gets in depth with some of the things, but I really loved your pull away from it, Jenny. So why don't you to read it on off, Zach?
Right, pressure's on, Jenny. Media is collateral damage. That's a quote. Publishers react to Facebook's sweeping newsfeed changes. I actually did a podcast about this just this morning, so I feel like a pro, and I'm ready to lay it out for you. In a dramatic shakeup, Facebook said it would start playing up status updates from friends and family in your Facebook newsfeed, effectively deprioritizing content from media publishers and brands. Here's what that means, because a lot of big words. Basically on Facebook right now, the way it works is whenever you see an ad on Facebook or something from a company, they pay to get that on your newsfeed. They pay a certain amount of money to Facebook to get it there. And a lot of times if they pay enough, that will get pushed up over like things from your friends and family. Yeah, things that like people close to you actually have to say about their lives. And moving into 2018, Facebook wants to go the other way and put your friends and family before corporations and ads. And a lot of corporations and companies are upset about this because this was kind of their marketing strategy. And now the idea that you're going to see a post about like your mom and dad over their ad for whatever is concerning to them. So that's where we're at, and Facebook is doing this. It's supposed to be social media as people imagine social media should be.
Well, and surely Facebook will still take that money, and I'm sure if you're buying advertising, people will still see your stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what Facebook found is that people had a better emotional reaction.
They were happier
to seeing stuff from their friends and family and loved ones, as opposed to mindlessly scrolling through and seeing a viral video and then, an ad and then a viral video and then an ad. It wasn't bringing people the satisfaction. Of course, Facebook needs people to enjoy the experience.
Because Facebook has two customers. Because they got to keep us, say, normal people engaged on the platform longer to see more ads. And they need the people who are paying for the ads to be able to actually have a lot of people see them. So what they're saying basically is to keep us engaged, we're happier seeing our friends and family and all that, and we're going to stay on the platform longer.
Right. It's a very corporate thing, the idea that if corporations are paying to market to us on Facebook, we are the thing Facebook is selling. Our attention is what Facebook is selling. And it turns out the results are in. People aren't that happy seeing that stuff on Facebook all the time. So the way they see it, they're like, you know what? Maybe we should just like let people connect with each other and spend less time worrying about how, I don't know, big corporate's going to get theirs.
So my takeaway with this was, so Facebook did big fancy studies about what makes you happy when you're online.
Sure.
And we can take that into our own lives and realize sometimes we're spending so much time going to this event or that event or spending time with people that we think are on a different level than us or people that we should spend time with. And then if you come home at the end of the day and you're not happy, like, what did you do with your day? Was it filled with family, friends, loved ones, people who bring you up? Or was it filled with just like a whole lot of mess and chaos? And for me personally, I think having a baby made us prioritize, like, who are these people that I'm spending time with? There's always the talk about the average of the 5 people that you're with, and, you become the average of those, say 5 people. So like before we're, sure, I'll go to this, that. Now it's like, I have to be so intentional. I have like 1 free hour a day. So am I going to come to my dear husband's podcast today? Yes, because I love hanging out with all of you. I always leave feeling inspired, and, it's a great group of people to be around. However, if it's something where, I don't know, maybe a little bit of negative energy, or maybe a lot of people who hate their jobs, or a lot of people who I feel aren't bringing me a lot of positive feedback, well, then maybe that's not who I'm going to spend my time with. So that's sort of how I looked at the whole, Facebook says you don't want to be filled with emptiness.
Yeah.
So same thing with our, little bit of free time that we all have.
Well, and Jenny and I, before having Brighton, we love being out around people. We love being, we were, because of Jenny, we were always invited to really cool social events and all those things, right? And we fortunately have a very wide group of people that we're friends with, right? That we say hi, we like them and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But when we had Brighton, we had to really go. We got to say no to more things than not, and so really made us zone in on where we want to spend kind of the time and not only with just your personal life, right, but at work. When you look at it, say you're a manager of something, or say you're or any of those things, when you look at how much of your calendar is filled with how much of your calendar is filled with things that you enjoy versus things that you do not. And maybe it's time to reflect on that to figure out the things you need to delegate or the things you need to keep in your wheelhouse, because, we're going to have to do things and be around people we don't really want to be around sometimes.
Course.
But it's taking that reflection, especially right now at the beginning of the year, right? It is looking at that reflection to go, being more mindful of, where am I spending my time? Am I getting re-energized enough? Am I being around the right people enough? And you have to make that change. That change isn't easy, though, as we've figured out, right?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And I think people, who knows if any of you know what I do. I'm a journalist. I've been a TV news reporter and anchor for about, I don't know, 12, 13 years. And so people always say, oh, I don't watch the news because it's too negative, right? You hear that all the time. And so I feel like I'm a pretty positive person, and I've been surrounded by news 24/7 for all those years. But I think that it's sustainable because during those well, first of all, there is good news.
Yeah.
You know, there really is a lot of, like, I get a lot of my enrichment in life through those sort of positive stories. But then also in my couple off hours, then it's really like specific and intentional who I'm with.
And people aren't intentional enough with their time.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yes.
You're definitely, you're not intentional enough that where you are spending your time, whether at work or at home. And a lot of times at work too, because you'll sit there and you'll really let yourself get so wrapped up with being unhappy with a project. And instead of just getting it done and over with so you can move on to something else, the things you have to do, and you end up spending more time on something you don't want to do because you just kind of,
Because you're avoiding it.
Because you say, as I say, wallow in it. You waller in it, right?
Waller in it.
You waller in your little pity on it. And you really extend the time up that you don't want to do it. So move on. Get through the things. Like, it's like getting over the day, the things you don't want to do. Get those tasks out of the way real quick so you don't sit there and think about it all day long.
Do you have a way that you structure your day? Speaking of, okay, first 15 minutes of the day is emails, next 20 minutes is this, that, in the mornings?
I just don't. Here's the stuff that you don't want to do, I just try to tackle and get out of the way. And so what I see with a lot of people is I try to make it a very big priority to make sure I get back with everybody. If I can't answer their call, then I always try to make it a priority to get back with them. A lot of people will have, say, like 10 minutes, and somebody will call them, they go, oh, I'll call them back later. And all that does is prolong it. Just answer, say, hey, I got 10 minutes before I got another deal. What you got? And then you don't have 10 missed calls you got to try to make back at the end of the day.
And then you can have that free hour to spend time with somebody who enriches your life.
Yeah.
Like my daughter and wife.
It's
Yes.
funny. Moving into 2018, that was one of my resolutions this year because I did that a lot last year. I felt like I'd see an email and be like, I'll answer that
I'll get
tomorrow.
back.
And then I just sit on it all night. Yeah, it bothers me. And
But
like,
isn't it amazing how quick, how really they take up like a very small amount of time if you just do it?
yeah, it takes 10 and that's what I've been doing. I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting after it in 2018. I'm doing it. I'm going for it. I'm getting things done. And yeah, that's exactly it. Like, even if I'm at home after hours, normally I wouldn't answer email. You know what? I'm just going to do it now, and then it's out of the way, and it's done, and I can deal with it later. And like, it feels so much more satisfying.
And you end up having more free time to do the thing to re-energize yourself, to get you back up and going. And not only taking a look at your calendar and finding out where's your time being intentional, I think it's super important to do right now is to look at it and figure out where it is. Another thing to do is, which is even gets a little more personal, is take a look at your credit card statements, your checkbooks and stuff, and find out where your money's being spent to find out things you love and don't love. Because you say, oh, I do. Here's the truth. Here's how you figure out the truth. Number one is look at your calendar, and it'll tell you whether you like to say, I'm intentional with my time, or I'm good, or I don't. Look at your calendar. It'll tell you. Number two, look at your credit card statements. Figure out where you're spending your money. That tells you the truth.
That 7-Eleven right around the corner from the TV station
Is racked up.
Oh, racked up.
Yes. It is all over that statement, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty good about planning my meals ahead of time. Yeah. Like but before the baby, it was like Sunday night, prep night, get everything together, all my lunch is ready. And now all of a sudden it's like Sunday night, get her pre-baby food made, her bottles washed, the pump parts, all this stuff. And then my food is like, I don't know, does 7-Eleven serve pizza at 2 a.m? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
actually,
it
yeah.
is great. They do.
They do.
Yes, 100% they do. 24 hours a day. So it is interesting how you look at that. And for me, it's like, okay, to be a good mom, I need to reprioritize and treat myself well too.
Yeah.
In addition to her, how do we do that? I don't know.
And you can do it. I mean, that's the thing. The misconception is that people think I ain't got enough time. No, we do. But you have to look back at it, which you do a good job at. You have your stuff planned out to get it done.
I do.
But other people will go act like they don't, but just take a look back and see and be more intentional. Block it off. Get things done. Don't sit on that phone call and say, I'll call it back later. Just answer it. And here's what happens. You go, well, this person talks forever. Well, when you answer, go, I got 10 minutes before I got to go in a meeting, but I wanted to answer it.
Funny, he always says that to me.
Right. I've heard that before.
They will get to their point really quick, and then it doesn't take forever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that and you can look back at it, your time will open up. And I hope that this year that you look back and think you'd be more intentional with your money, being more intentional with your time, and put it in the spots that it's not, and it'll make a massive difference, I believe, in your whole outlook and your perception. And maybe you need to make more intentional time to go meet new people because you look around and you don't have a lot of people you want to be with. So then you need to go join things you're interested in to find more people, to start having more intentional time with people that maybe you're not happy with many people around you at all. What was that? You just literally went...
Because I heard the ending music and I know how these things work. This is the end of the second segment of Second Shot.
Coming right back. There we go. Nailed
I
it.
call Ignorance on Fire. More of Second Shot with Heath Oaks still to come.
You guys have been listening to Second Shot and hearing us talk about it. You need to go pick up my book, Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. You can get it on Amazon in a paper book. You can also hear this beautiful voice of mine in audiobook style on Audible or anywhere you're going to get your audiobooks. Guys, this book took a lot of time to put into it, and I believe it can really be some life-changing stuff to help you on your path to success. And hopefully you're going to fail your way to success just like I did. Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. Amazon.com, Audible.com, audiobooks, paper books, everything. Get it, share it with your people, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go pick it up today.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
I don't know about you, but that kind of return music almost sounds like going out to a baseball game or something, right? That tune.
I was thinking like a rodeo.
Where?
I don't know. Obviously, I've only been to one rodeo, so I don't know
like,
rodeo music.
Wait. The last thing, are you all of a sudden a redneck? Or what?
No, I don't know. You asked if I thought it like it felt like a
you
baseball
thought a
game, and I
rodeo.
said no, a rodeo.
Because you've been to rodeos your whole life.
I went to the big one at AT&T Stadium, the richest one in history or whatever.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Where's that? Houston?
No,
AT&T.
AT&T Stadium with
right,
a
you
$1
did say that,
million
AT&T Stadium.
prize.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
I go big. If I'm going to go to a
Right.
rodeo,
If
I'm going to go to the
rodeo,
big one.
I'm
Yes.
going to the big rodeo.
It was intentional with my time. Look, I'm not going to like the little county fair.
Right.
Go
half rodeo.
Go big or
That's-
go home.
That's right.
That's my honey.
So I got this clip from Kristen. I don't know
Okay,
if you
let's
wanna
see.
play it now.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Let's see.
I ramped this up way worse than I should have. Here's Kristen's old VO followed by her new VO.
All right.
Okay.
First line's old, second one's new. Here we go.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
Ready, aim, fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
It's a little deeper, a little
The
bit more
second one
bass.
is
the new one.
Yeah.
is
That's her voice
current.
now. Yeah.
Chris. Okay. There was like a really slight twang
Yeah.
in the first one,
Uh-huh.
and then there's no twang in the
Right,
second
and
one.
she said, she was like, I was trying to get that high up. I was trying to get my voice up where it was, and that's as good as I can get it. Like that's
isn't that
It sounds
funny?
great.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
yeah,
how that works?
Really
Yes.
fascinating. Yeah, no, we sat here and talked about it for a couple minutes.
And it
Like,
was
how
an
does that even
allergy
happen?
type.
I'm not sure.
nasal
I
passage.
didn't want to pry too much, but yeah, it was something to do with vocals.
Allergies.
Yeah, it's something.
He didn't want to
going
pry
on.
too much, but
Yeah.
let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's put it on Second Shot. That's right.
Yeah. But she openly told you so.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sounds
Kristen.
sounds
Yeah,
great.
Good enough for the show. Thanks, Kristen.
So I wanted to give y'all that we have the newest. I just kind of wanted to let somebody know the newest. In December 30th, we had another iTunes little rating, 5-star. Thank you. By Dragon Goddess.
I love the name.
Yeah, I do too. I really enjoy listening to y'all every week, and after each episode, I always feel a bit disappointed, but only because I don't want the show to end.
Aw.
Thank you.
That is very cool.
I grew up in a little town in Texas called Kemp, so it's encouraging to hear someone from another small town doing very well for themselves. Thanks for the laughs and keep the episodes coming. They're highlight of my week. Well, thank you. That's awesome.
That's really sweet.
And how, it takes time to get on there and to log on,
Oh,
to
yeah.
leave the message and
Yeah.
everything like that. So you know that when somebody
Super
leaves
appreciate it.
that is really special, really cool. People's time is limited. So the fact that they would spend some of their day every week listening.
Because
to
I'm somebody, I don't leave ratings and reviews very often. I do when something really, because like I said,
Yeah.
it does take time. You got to go in there and you want to put it in there. So I'm one of those that really, really appreciate every review that anybody does, because I'm not somebody who just randomly go out there and do that.
Sure. Yeah, that was very cool of her.
Yeah. So we had another email. This is a cool email. I think this is very interesting. And Javier, I actually met Javier. I think he came to my book launch.
Awesome.
I actually believe Javier came to the book launch back in February. But said, Happy New Year, Second Shot. I'm a big fan. I'm going to tread lightly here as I know Heath is a Packers fan. Go Pack Go. But it's undeniable that the Dallas Cowboys conversation will be, again, Jerry's inability to be a football manager. He's a brilliant salesperson, but the team continues to fall short because Cowboys obviously got knocked out and didn't even make the playoffs. To me, the key is that human behavior is the easiest thing to predict. Jerry loves the action around making the team profitable, building facilities, and ultimately the intention. I'm very sure he'd love to win the last game of the season, but not more than the latter. That's why JJ is not here. When he was king, not Jerry. I'm talking about Jerry Jones. Mm-hmm. Key terms for discussion he thought was human behavior. We all try new things and resolutions this week because it all feels new. The problem is it doesn't take long for any of us to fall back on old habits. They are comfortable. They are known to our brains and feel safe. I've read our brains are built to do this and avoid conflict, danger, which seems apparent with change or out-of-habit behaviors. Thoughts. Deeply devoted Javier. What do you think about that?
Well, I think he's onto something with just the goal setting.
Yeah.
That part of it. I was a personal trainer for about 12 years prior to all of this. And so all my clients had SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive.
So SMART is an acronym.
It's the acronym.
So say it again. So SMART is an acronym.
Specific,
yep,
measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive.
You know that I really
So are you following me?
I hate that acronym now. You know why?
Why?
Realistic. You know.
I know he hates the word realistic, but we're talking about fitness goals. We're talking about, within your frame, because I didn't want people to get disappointed.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in there with a bone structure that weighs more than 100 pounds and they want to weigh 90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what we mean by realistic. But
I'm just joking with you.
I love doing. But I took that from fitness and applied it to other things, and I think that the time stamp on it is important too, because if you're just like, I really, gosh, I want to run a marathon someday.
Yeah.
Someday is someday, and then it's also kind of like nagging at you, but you're not really doing anything about it. So if you're saying, okay, I'm going to do it in March, well, then you can set up your timetable. So anyway, I went off on a fitness tangent.
I like that a lot, though. I think the acronym, that's a really good way. It's a very easy way to remember that stuff. Yeah. And you know what I liked about, too, what he's talking about in here? This it is a normal, it happens a lot, which is, he talks about Jerry loving the action and all that. And we do, obviously, Jerry loves action, the attention, the all of that, because most NFL owners, nobody knows who they are. There's a very small amount of people, of owners they know, and those are the ones that really want to be in the spotlight. And Jerry is the most well-known owner there is, okay? And so basically there's always been the debate about the Cowboys that if Jerry would get out of the football decision-making stuff and talks about how there's been, this is, hearsay, this is not proven, this is much people's opinion is, he keeps Jason Garrett around because Jerry Jones can be the general manager, the owner, and the football coach because he can tell Jason Garrett what to do, and he does it. And they say that he got rid of Jerry Jones back in the day because Jerry Jones wanted to do it his way and told him to stay out of it, and obviously the owner won in that event. Those are all just, let me clarify, those are all opinions that a lot of people have had forever, whether right or wrong, but that's what he's bringing up, is talking about how, do you really want to win? And if you did, would you make some changes instead of not?
Yeah.
Are you really, is it more important to be known and, to run that business out of, or do you really want to win? You say you want to win, but you're not making any of the changes that need to be made that have been consistently shown since your one run in the 90s that it hasn't happened.
Well, what about you for your business? I would say you're pretty known in your business. You've written a book. You have this podcast. Those are not but your main job is still your main job. Do you think it helps you to be known?
Well, but the difference is we win. Well,
and I would make a humble joke, but you're
right.
But
I'm being honest. Here's the difference. This doesn't
come first.
This wouldn't be a question. If the Cowboys, for the 3 out of the last 5 years, we have been the number one territory in the country. If the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, this wouldn't be a conversation.
But are the Cowboys still profitable?
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. He loves this is what he loves being profitable. Runs business is great, but he hasn't won in a while, and so he's saying he does all those things well, but he's still trying to stay in the person making football decisions when he could just be sticking and running the business profitable and hiring somebody that does the football aspects. When is the time for him to get out of that and do it that he realizes it's not working?
Well, and you talk a lot about, I know, releasing control.
Yep.
Like letting go of some control so that it can bring everybody else up, because none of us can be the expert at everything.
Oh, absolutely. And human behavior, the only thing, Javier, that I have to say that I don't agree with you on is that human behavior is the easiest thing to predict, because human behavior is one of the most difficult things I've tried to figure out to predict that known to man. You know what I mean? If I have not mastered that. I feel like, I tried to study people, but man, understanding human behavior is not the easiest thing in the world.
Because your job really isn't in insurance, it's in people.
Absolutely, 100%.
So that's your realm. And, and same with mine in journalism, too.
Absolutely.
It's about people who are watching, people who are making news.
And I would tell you that you're trying to understand people and human behavior is better than anything else. And in sales and negotiating, just learning and seeing other sides. When people have opposite opinions of you, instead of trying to prove to them why they're wrong, just ask questions to truly try to understand why they feel that way. And when you do, you're going to start understanding human behavior much better. Wouldn't you agree?
Say that one more time.
So instead of, when somebody has an opposite opinion of you, instead of trying to prove to them why your side is right, ask more questions to try to understand why they feel the way they do, and you're going to end up understanding a whole lot more than just trying to prove to them why you're right.
Well, and in turn, typically when you give somebody the grace of trying to understand them,
their guard goes down.
they can let go a little bit and maybe understand you too.
Absolutely.
Which then you can move forward. But yeah, I like that.
Let's break down them barriers, people. It's time to break them down. Jenny, where can they find you?
So on Instagram, which is my favorite social media, Jenny Anchondo, and on Twitter, Jenny A Fox 4, and my website is jennyanchondo.com.
And you can look me up at Heath Oaks at Ignorance on Fire, like always. Nice to have my beautiful wife in the studio. Until the next time on Second Shot, we'll be back.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.